3 months after marrying Leo, I slit my wrists and ended my life. As my soul floated above, I thought I would see him break down in tears, losing his mind searching for me everywhere. At the very least, I imagined him holding my lifeless body, kneeling before my grave, repenting day and night, like those over-the-top tragic love stories, the almighty CEO mourning his wife, going mad with grief, his hair turning white overnight, his company going bankrupt, losing everything, and even choosing to die for love. But none of that happened. Leo looked at my corpse and said just one word: unlucky. There was no regret, no heartbreaking realization, no desperate pursuit of his lost love. Instead, my death made space for the so-called pitiful orphan Selena, who effortlessly took my place as Mrs. Leo. I glanced down at the blade in my hand. The moment rewound to the day I had died. Why should I have been the one to die? The ones who deserved it were never me. I tossed the blade aside and walked out of the room. Before Leo could bring Selena into our marital home, I had already signed the divorce papers. Chapter 1. The moment I felt pain, I realized I had been reborn. Memories of my death flashed through my mind, replaying over and over. I had chosen to die, all because of a message from Selena half an hour earlier. It was a photo, her on top, Leo underneath. The pose was intimate, unmistakable, and the setting? A cramped, enclosed space, the inside of a car. Rage consumed me. I called Leo frantically. He didn't answer. I called again and again until, finally, he just hung up on me. Everyone in Beijing knew I loved Leo to death. Literally, I couldn't live without him. People even had a nickname for me, Nicole, the lovesick beauty with an obsessive streak. At that moment, knowing Leo was with another woman, my mind shattered. Desperation clawed at me. I pulled up WeChat and created a group chat, adding all our mutual friends. Then, I made my declaration. I was going to kill myself. Messages flooded in. Everyone urged me to calm down. Only Leo responded with 2 cold words: "Go ahead." Those words snapped something inside me. I had begged for scraps of love from Leo for too long. If I couldn't have even that, then fine. I'd make sure he never forgot me. I went live. In front of everyone, I slit my wrists. Gasps of horror filled the video call. My friends screamed my name. Even Leo finally reacted. I heard him curse under his breath, "Crazy woman." Then, at last, he rushed back. He finally left another woman's side to come to me. That was all I had wanted. But I had cut too deep, and I really died. As my soul drifted above, I desperately waited for Leo to wake up, to realize his love for me. Would he hold my lifeless body and weep? Would he mourn me? He did nothing. He had me cremated without a second thought. And a month later, he married Selena, taking everything that had once been mine. My death taught me one thing: loving a man will never be as important as loving myself. Leo, I don't love you anymore. Selena's message was still on my phone. This time, I didn't hold back. Leo likes being in control. You're desperate. Thirsty act? Not his type. Silence. No response. I stepped out of the bathroom, throwing everything, the knife, the blood-stained towels, the remnants of my self-destruction, into the trash. I had wasted 10 years chasing Leo, begging for even a fraction of his love. And in the process, I had trapped myself in a prison of my own making. It wasn't worth it. I sent Leo a text. "The divorce papers just need your signature." Chapter 2. Leo arrived quickly. The first thing out of his mouth was, "Not dead yet? Trying a new tactic? Divorce. Huh?" His mocking tone was sharp, laced with sarcasm. But he wasn't wrong. In my past life, the only reason I married Leo was because of the partnership between our families. At the time, Leo's family was on the verge of bankruptcy, their business crumbling. When I married him, it was like throwing my family's wealth into a bottomless pit to save his. So every time I brought up divorce, Leo would compromise. Back then, I thought his concessions meant he loved me, that even if it was just a little, he still cared. Now I understood. It was never love. It was leverage. Every time Leo gave in, it was for his family's survival, not for me. I studied my emotions and then noticed the figure standing behind Leo, Selena. Selena was 2 years younger than me, the orphan his family had adopted years ago. She had grown up with Leo, childhood sweethearts, destined companions. How foolish I had been to think this was some cliché romance novel, where a childhood sweetheart loses to a fated love. I was never the fated love. I was Nicole, the sick, obsessive beauty in Leo's eyes. I handed him the divorce papers. Sign it. Leo chuckled, then casually ripped the papers in half, completely indifferent to what I wanted. Selena's moving in. You'll have to give up the master bedroom for her. No objections, right? Objections? How could I dare to object? This wasn't new. In my past life, it had been the same. Selena insisted on taking the master bedroom Leo and I shared. I refused, so she had to settle for a guest room. That very night, she accidentally fell from the window. Apparently, the bed in the guest room was too close to the floor-to-ceiling windows, and she had forgotten to close them before sleeping. What an unfortunate accident, because what kind of normal person sleeps with their windows wide open? Leo, of course, blamed me. He said I needed to learn a lesson, so he locked me in a dark room without food or water. By the time he remembered me, I was barely breathing. My friends were outraged. Nicole, divorce him. If you stay, this scumbag will kill you. But back then, I was too far gone. I snapped back at them instead. Why does he only treat me like this? Why not someone else? Why is it my life he wants, not anyone else's? Because he loves me. He loves me to death. One by one, my friends left. They stopped reaching out. Looking back, I was such an idiot. But not this time. If Selena loved stealing my home, then fine, I'd give her the damn nest. All right. I agreed calmly. Chapter 3. A flicker of surprise flashed through Selena's eyes. Clearly, she had come prepared to stir up trouble, but now all her tactics were useless. She kept casting scrutinizing glances at me, tugging at Leo's sleeve. Brother, about that matter. Selena hesitated. Leo adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses. His movements refined and elegant. I used to be obsessed with this wolf in gentleman's clothing. Thinking back now, if a dog had done the same thing, I probably would have loved it too. I was completely delusional. Leo finally spoke. Selena's health is weak, and she's preparing for pregnancy. You'll take care of her for the next 2 weeks. I remember you studied nursing, right? Oh, I studied nursing. All right. For him. Back then, Leo had been drowning in business dinners, drinking himself sick just to save his bankrupt family business. He ended up in the hospital for nearly 2 weeks, suffering from severe gastritis. He couldn't afford a private nurse, so I taught myself basic care and stayed by his side day and night. I didn't even blink if he lifted his hand. I handed him water. If he turned in bed, I massaged his back. I worked harder than a housekeeper. I thought he would remember my devotion. Turns out, all he remembered was having a free caregiver. Still, I smiled and agreed, but I had a price. Leo, return the 3 corporate seals I gave you. If you do, I'll agree. Those 3 seals had been the lifeline that revived his company. To be honest, I had married far from home. My family was in Shanghai, and they had fiercely opposed my marriage to Leo. In the end, they reluctantly agreed, but only under one condition. They gave me 3 corporate seals. With those, every major industry and business in Beijing would owe my family a favor. My parents also told me, whenever you take back those 3 seals, no matter where we are, we will come and get you. I had given them to Leo, believing they would help his career. I even told him to carry them with him at all times. In my past life, I had asked for them back once before. Instead of returning them, Leo had pointed at me and sneered. Nicole, who do you think your family is? And those stupid seals? Do you really think they mean anything? Even without your family, we can rise again. That was the moment I realized, you can't feed a wolf and expect it to be loyal. A heart made of stone will never be warmed. At least if I threw scraps to a stray dog, the dog would wag its tail at me. Leo scoffed and pulled one of the seals from his coat pocket. He handed it to me carelessly. You'll get the other 2, 1 per week. I knew exactly what he meant. He wanted me to serve Selena for 2 weeks. By the time he handed over the last seal, it would be time for me to leave. And by then, my parents would have already finalized the divorce paperwork for me. I no longer harbored any admiration for Leo. What I truly looked forward to was the day he lost everything, when he was no longer a wealthy young master, drowning in debt, desperately begging for scraps of dignity. Would Selena still claim to love him? Chapter 4. The days passed. Selena officially moved in my past life. Her pregnancy plans had sent me to the hospital. I developed anxiety disorder and nearly lost my mind, because the child she wanted to carry was Leo's. Selena claimed she had her own beliefs. She had been devoted to Taoism since childhood, and since Leo's family had adopted her, she felt she had to repay their kindness. Leo had already married me, and after 3 years without a child, she couldn't bear to see his family's bloodline end. So, she selflessly volunteered to bear a child for him. Her excuse? She claimed she and Leo would conceive through IVF, but in reality, it was just an excuse for them to sleep together. She sent me pictures, videos, one by one. She made sure I saw them all. I was so traumatized that I spat blood. I was a complete mess, haggard, skin pale and sickly, hair unkempt. In my madness, I staggered into Leo's company. At that time, he was in the middle of an international meeting. I stormed in and ruined his entire project. Falling to my knees, I clung to his legs and begged him to love me. I pleaded for him to have a child with me. I even said, I swear, the child I give birth to will be smarter and more blessed than Selena's. That humiliation became Leo's biggest scandal. To silence me, he had me locked away. When I still refused to behave, he sent me to a psychiatric hospital. Only when I was broken and obedient did he bring me back home. Even now, just thinking about it makes my heart ache. Why did I ever degrade myself like that? What Selena didn't know was the real reason Leo and I never had a child in those 3 years. My parents had investigated him. Leo's family carried a genetic disorder. Their children were either born disabled or with severe cerebral palsy. So this time, for the sake of taking back those 3 corporate seals, I became even more obsessed with Selena's pregnancy than a professional maternity nurse. At 8 a.m., I personally ordered the kitchen to prepare a nourishing bird's nest soup and brought it to Selena. She took one sip and threw it on me. What kind of garbage is this? Be careful, or I'll tell Leo. I held back. At noon, I arranged for a professional masseuse to apply skincare oil to her body, ensuring her skin remained in perfect condition. Selena, however, insisted that I do it myself. Nicole, those precious hands of yours, serving me won't be a problem, right? I endured it again. At 10 p.m., Leo came home, hand in hand. He entered the bedroom with Selena. Leo pretended to look troubled. Nicole, this is all for me. You love me so much, you'll understand, won't you? I stood by the door, listening as their passion unfolded inside. Just then, my parents called. Nicole, your mother and I received the corporate seals. Are you coming home? There was one seal left. Just one more. And once I had it, every project under Leo's name would be shut down. Because for the past 3 years, every contract, every business deal had been signed with my family's seal. Without it, his empire would collapse. I stood by the door, peeking through the gap at the 2 people entangled inside. Then, I smiled. Dad, Mom, 1 week from now, come pick me up. Chapter 5. During the 2 weeks I spent serving Selena, I barely slept or ate. I had lost so much weight that Leo's opinion of me actually improved. He often stared at me in a daze, and once in a while, he even managed to say something that sounded almost human. Nicole, if only you were always this obedient, life would be so much easier. I pressed my lips together, smiled, and said nothing. I wasn't going to make a scene anymore. I just wondered, when his company collapsed into bankruptcy, would he be the one throwing a tantrum instead? Leo finally handed me the last corporate seal, afraid he might change his mind. I immediately placed the divorce papers on the table again. I made sure to remind him, don't forget to sign it when you get back tonight. Leo's gaze darkened with mockery. What's this? Did you find out Selena is pregnant and now you want to pull the same suicide livestream stunt again? Then, his voice turned cold. Nicole, if you die, I'll make sure to clean up your body. I lowered my head and stayed silent, because I knew he meant it, and that was exactly why I would never be as foolish as I was in my past life. I thought about packing some things to take with me, but when I looked around, I realized there was nothing worth taking. The moment Leo stepped out the front door, I stepped into a car. I switched off my phone, tossed out my SIM card, and disappeared. Leo, I'll be waiting for your downfall in Shanghai. Chapter 6. I blocked Leo on everything, but I forgot about one thing, the WeChat group chat where I had once threatened suicide. On the first day of my disappearance, the first person to tag me in the group was Victor. He had always been the loudest when it came to calling me a simp. Because his family had business ties with Leo's, he was always there to clean up Leo's messes, no matter what he did. Looking back now, on the day I tried to kill myself, he had been the one taunting me the hardest. Nicole, just hurry up and die already. I've never seen a lovesick ghost before. And honestly, what makes you think you even compare to Selena? Now? Victor was screaming even louder than he had that day. Nicole, first it was suicide. Now you're pulling a disappearance act? If you crawl back and apologize to Leo right now, I might be able to put in a good word for you. Maybe, just maybe, when he buys Selena jewelry, he'll throw in a freebie for you. A good word? Can a dog even speak human language? I clicked on the video Victor had sent. It was from the afternoon of the day I left. Victor was personally accompanying Selena to buy the most expensive jewelry at the mall. The way they were flirting and laughing, you'd think they were the real couple. How had I been so blind in my past life? From the video, it was clear Leo had rented out the entire mall just for her. Everything he bought was extravagant, luxurious, dripping in wealth. Victor wasn't wrong. All those cheap jewelry pieces Leo had given me in the past? They had been Selena's leftovers, freebies. And worse, I had to beg for them. But something felt off. Leo had money to buy jewelry? I reached out to a friend in Beijing and asked for the full video. And in the next part of the footage, after a long while of picking out jewelry, Leo's phone lit up with a message. Dear Mr. Leo, your bank account has been charged XXXXXX. Your remaining balance, 0 yuan. At first, he thought it was a scam, so he didn't even bother checking. Then, he handed over his card. Swipe it. The cashier took Leo's black card. Not even a minute later, she returned. Sir, I'm terribly sorry, but could you try another card? This one isn't going through. That one simple sentence made Leo frown in confusion. He tried another card, then another, and another. None of them worked. Leo suddenly remembered that text message from earlier. His expression darkened as he quickly called the company's finance department. Gabriella, where's the money in my account? The accountant's voice was calm. Boss, since we violated the contract, all of the company's funds were used to pay off penalties. Contract violation? All the money is gone? Selena heard those words and let out a piercing scream. Leo, it's Nicole. It has to be her. Leo's breath hitched. His hand trembled as he immediately tried to call me, but my number was disconnected. Frustrated, he left a voice message. Nicole, what the hell are you playing at? Where's the company's money? Nicole, answer me. When he still couldn't reach me, panic set in, because at that moment, his phone was being flooded with messages. 1/2 urgent requests for company seals. 1/2 partners demanding payments. And the last half? Astronomical breach of contract fines. I could see it clearly in the video. Leo's fingertips were shaking, just like mine had trembled when I had seen him with Selena. See? A person can live without love, but without money? That's impossible. The video ended. I clicked my tongue. It seemed like Leo's so-called brothers hadn't realized his company was crumbling yet. I saved his voice messages, planning to let them all see who was really groveling for whom. Taking a deep breath, I refocused. I had a meeting with business partners, Leo's former associates. They were considering pulling out of Beijing and shifting their projects to Shanghai. With me, just then, my WeChat group chat exploded. Selena. Her tone was haughty, condescending, like she was granting mercy to a pitiful stray. Nicole. Leo said that if you crawl back now and show up in front of him, he'll forgive you. A woman shouldn't act too difficult. Men don't have infinite patience, especially a man like Leo, someone at the top of the pyramid. I nearly gagged. Chapter 7. I never expected Selena to say anything worth listening to, but her words reminded me of something, a relic of futile thinking. That's exactly what she was. From the moment I married Leo, she had never acknowledged me as his wife. To her, I was never really his sister-in-law. Instead, she herself embodied the perfect product of feudal values, completely submissive to men, blindly obedient, offering endless emotional support. To Leo, she was a perfect pet. No matter what decision he made, Selena would look at him with admiration. Even if Leo farted, she'd probably tell him it smelled like roses. So of course, she never understood why Leo would marry a woman like me. To her, I was nothing, and she didn't disappoint. Selena sent me a video. It was from the second day after I left. Leo's private office was packed with executives from companies that had previously worked with him. Selena, smug and gloating, sent me a private message. Nicole, since you left, don't even think about coming back. Leo is about to become a business mogul, expanding globally. Aw, Selena, what a beautiful dream you're living in. Because the executives in that video? At that very moment, they were sitting across from me, holding project contracts. I let out a soft chuckle and casually asked them about the meeting in the video. The executives rushed to clarify. Miss, please don't misunderstand. That day, we were there to terminate our contracts with Leo. Just then, another video arrived on my phone. The secretaries of these executives were sharp people. Every single one of them had recorded the meeting. I took a slow sip of my coffee, my eyes locking onto the paused frame. Leo, his lips stained with blood. A rush of satisfaction coursed through me. I didn't even hesitate. I pressed play. Chapter 8. Inside the office. Leo's face was pitch black, surrounded by so many business partners demanding answers. He had no choice but to smile and beg. He looked just like I once did, back when I was sick but still insisted on cooking for him. And in return, he never spared me a single kind look. Now, his voice held a trace of desperation, just like I had once begged him. Now he was begging them. You can still work with me. Does it really matter if we use my company's seal instead of Nicole's? The partners snapped back. It absolutely matters. We only recognize Nicole's family. Who the hell do you think you are, Leo? Without Nicole's family, do you really think you could have lasted this long in Beijing? It's all in the contract. Without Nicole's family seal, you pay up. If we don't see the breach of contract penalty in 3 days, get ready for bankruptcy proceedings. 3 sentences. Each one landed like a punch to Leo's gut. He stood frozen, like he had been physically struck. Then, as if finally processing the situation, his expression twisted. He suddenly remembered the corporate seals I had taken back. And then, for the first time, he spat my name out, with so much force, as if it physically hurt him. Nicole! Before he could do anything, the office doors burst open. Someone rushed in, and without a word, punched Leo straight in the face. Turns out, the day I left, this guy had come looking for Leo to collect his debt. Leo refused to pay, and now, he was paying with blood. The video wasn't over yet, but I had seen enough. I didn't want to watch Leo struggling like a beaten dog. I wanted to see him wagging his tail in front of me. Just as I was about to speak, my phone rang. It was my parents. Nicole, are you all right? We just heard Leo's in Shanghai. Chapter 9. I hadn't expected Leo to arrive in Shanghai this quickly. Meanwhile, the WeChat group chat was exploding every day. People were spamming me with tags, demanding that I apologize, that I admit my mistakes, that I go back to him. They acted like they had eaten poisonous mushrooms, completely deranged. But because of my parents' warnings, and because I had no intention of seeing Leo so soon, I had been burying myself in work. I spent my days and nights studying financial management, learning how to take over the family business. I was so busy I barely knew whether it was day or night. And then, Leo appeared. He stood at the entrance of my home. It was nighttime, the soft glow of the streetlights casting dark shadows over his face. Backlit like that, he almost looked like one of those deeply devoted male leads from a manga. No wonder I used to love him to death. That face, it really was addicting. But when Leo saw me, His expression darkened even further. Before I could even speak, he launched into his usual accusations. Just like in the past, no matter what I did, all I ever got from him was blame. Nicole, where the hell have you been? Do you know I've been waiting for you at your house for 3 days? How long are you going to keep playing this missing person act? 3 days? Back then, he had run off with Selena on vacation without a word. I had waited at home for a full month. 3 days? Compared to a month? Not even close to making up for the pain he caused me. I took a deep breath. For the first time, I looked at the man I had loved for a lifetime. And for the first time, I realized all those old feelings, the heartbreak, the longing, the obsession, had faded. I could finally stand tall. I could finally speak without swallowing my pride. I could finally demand what I wanted. Leo, I'm not going back. Leo grabbed my wrist, his brows furrowing like he was about to explain something. In the past, whenever he furrowed his brows, I couldn't help but want to smooth them out. I wanted to fix all of his problems, make his life easier. But now, he just looked like a pathetic, abandoned ex. Let go of me. Leo's grip tightened. Is it because of Selena? I can make her leave. Make Selena leave? This was the one thing I had wished to hear in my past life. And now that I didn't want him anymore, he was finally saying it? I laughed. And where exactly is she going to go, with your child in her belly? I tilted my head, mocking him. Or are you two planning to put on some kind of ridiculous show the overbearing CEO chases after his pregnant runaway lover? Sorry, but I'm not interested in watching that drama. Chapter 10. For a brief moment, Leo's expression showed genuine surprise. Because in the past, I never talked back. As long as he said a few sweet words, I would obediently fall in line. But now, he seemed to realize that something was wrong. Nicole, haven't I explained this before? The reason I didn't want you to have children was because I couldn't bear to see you in pain. I love you. Strange. Hearing Leo say he loved me now, it actually made me feel sick. It didn't matter what he said anymore. Every word that left his mouth felt like an attack. Leo's patience started to crack. Nicole, I'll be staying in Shanghai for a week. I'm giving you 7 days to calm down. After that, you're coming back with me. I let out a mocking smile. So this was how I must have sounded in the past. When I refused to listen to reason, Leo couldn't understand. Could he? I don't love him anymore. I don't love him anymore. And I'm not going back. Not in a week. Not in a month. Not in a year. Not in a lifetime. But Leo didn't understand. He was so persistent that he even rented an apartment near my house, just so he could block me every day. Morning. I stepped outside. And there he was, standing by the car, holding a cup of coffee from my favorite cafe, and in his other hand, a cloud bread pastry, my favorite. Nicole, try it, see if it still tastes the same. I stared at the coffee and cake. For a moment, I seriously suspected he had drugged it. After all, wasn't this how it all started? Back then, it was because he gave me food that I fell hopelessly in love with him. This had to be some kind of curse. I took it from him and threw it straight into the trash. I don't eat garbage. That was exactly what Leo had once said to me when he had mocked my cooking. Now, I was just returning the favor. Leo's face turned dark as I got into my car. The exhaust fumes left him standing there, his expression even blacker than before. Noon. Leo somehow found my new address. This time, he didn't bring food. Instead, he sent me a jewelry box from my favorite brand. This particular brand never sold to the public. You had to be a VIP to even qualify for a purchase. Back then, I felt bad for Leo, knowing how hard he worked for his money, but he had no problem spending piles of cash on Selena. And now, he was giving me jewelry? Was this supposed to disgust me? I immediately called Selena. The moment she answered, I said, "Your man is out here flirting and sending me jewelry. Do you care or not?" Chapter 11. Leo forcefully hung up the call. He probably never expected me to call Selena directly. His voice came through, cold and tight. Nicole, stop dragging third parties into this. We're still married right now. All I want is to be with you. That was Mandarin, right? But somehow, when Leo said it, I couldn't understand a single word. He wanted to be with me? He didn't want a divorce? I pulled out the divorce papers my lawyer had prepared days ago. Fine, if you refuse to divorce, I'll just take you to court. By then, your adultery and illegitimate child will cost you a hell of a lot more. Leo's expression finally cracked. For the past few days, he had been playing the role of a docile little grandson in front of me. Now, his true colors were finally showing. His eyes turned vicious as they locked onto me. Nicole, do you really have to be this ruthless? Isn't this what you always wanted? My love? Fine. I'll give it to you, all of it. What more do you want? Honestly, sometimes, when you feel completely speechless, all you can do is laugh. Leo's love, how much was it even worth? I stared at him coldly, exposing his pathetic attempts at playing the devoted husband. Do you love me? Or do you love my family's corporate seals? Your company's about to collapse, isn't it? Your good days are over, aren't they? Leo's pupils shrank. In that instant, he lunged at me like a wild lion, teeth bared, ready to rip me apart. Nicole, it was you. You did this on purpose. Why are you doing this? Look at me. I'm your man. I'm Leo, the man you love the most. Are you really going to just stand there and watch me die? Will that make you happy? Leo's hand shot toward my throat, but before he could touch me, a larger hand moved faster, blocking him. A deep, cool voice rang out. So this is the legendary self-made businessman of Beijing? Turns out, all these years, Leo's success was built on a woman's back. That voice, it sounded familiar. It almost sounded like the man my parents had once arranged for me to marry. Paul. Chapter 12. Why was he here? Paul was a full head taller than Leo. Standing in front of me, he completely blocked my view. All I could see was Leo, sprawled on the ground. His eyes were fixed on me, filled with a mess of emotions. Disbelief, frustration, resentment. Nicole, you're divorcing me for this man? I won't let you have your way. But with Paul here, Leo knew he had nothing to gain. He slinked away like a beaten dog. Paul, on the other hand, I had only met him once before. I never expected him to remember me. His tone was light, his posture relaxed, a lazy confidence, laced with an undercurrent of warmth. I came here for a business meeting, just happened to pass by. His lips curled slightly. Didn't expect my business partner to be you. Then, with a teasing look, no need to feel grateful. Miss Nicole, just make sure our project goes smoothly. 2 short sentences. And just like that, all my worries vanished. I had been half afraid my parents were trying to set us up again, but it turned out, this was just business. The project. Everything with Paul went smoothly. Almost too smoothly. Even when we spent long hours working together. He made sure I was always well fed and well taken care of. Everything was exactly to my taste. And when we worked through contracts, strategies, and negotiations, Paul never hesitated to praise me. Nicole, the business world needs someone like you. Who says women can't succeed? Nicole, I think you're more than capable. His unwavering confidence in me made me feel light, giddy, almost floating. For so many years, I had chased after these words. I had spent so much time seeking validation from Leo. In the end, I forgot what I was even looking for. And now, I finally understood. Recognition doesn't require begging. It just comes naturally, when you stand your ground. Later that evening, as we wrapped up for the day, Paul threw in a final, casual remark, a hint of playful curiosity. Nicole, a woman like you, how did you end up getting married? Then, with a smirk, need help undoing that mistake? Chapter 13. I froze. So Paul already knew I was getting a divorce. But this wasn't over yet. Leo and we hadn't completely severed ties. And just when I thought things had settled down, Selena showed up in Shanghai. Not only that, she came straight to my office, holding up a massive banner, with bold letters written across it. Rich heiress Nicole, the shameless homewrecker. I have to admit, that actually surprised me, because a woman like Selena Calculative, manipulative, always playing the long game. Why was she suddenly acting this impulsively? Did she lose her mind? She wasn't even trying to play the victim subtly. She was flat out making a scene. The banner was stretched across the entrance of my company. And Leo? He was right there with her. Selena's pregnant belly stuck out. Even though she was only 3 months along, people gossiped that it was twins, which explained why her belly looked larger than normal. But gone was her usual refined, elegant appearance. Now, she looked like a resentful housewife, even worse than I had looked in my past life. Everyone, look over here. This shameless woman, Nicole, seduced my husband. What am I supposed to do? What about my children? Shanghai. Very few people knew I was married. Even fewer knew about Selena and Leo. So, to passers-by, it looked real. And when people don't know the full story, they start jumping to conclusions. Some even filmed the scene and posted it online. And, just like that, the internet exploded with hate. Nicole, the home-wrecking vixen, is this her hobby? Wow. A spoiled rich heiress who's addicted to stealing married men. Why not just go full escort? Poor thing. The real wife is standing there pregnant. And this woman still dares to seduce her husband? Funny. Whenever this kind of scandal happens, the man is nowhere to be found. Why should only women be dragged through the mud? So, I didn't hold back. I exposed everything. Every disgusting detail about how Leo and Selena had been walking all over me for years. The moment the truth hit the internet, the story of Leo and his adopted sister-turned-mistress shot straight to #1 trending. Chapter 14. Leo was drowning in his own mess. But I still made sure to shove the divorce papers in his hands again. Only this time, the man standing in front of me had gone completely insane. In my past life, when I died, he didn't go crazy. In this life, I'm alive and well. Yet he lost his mind. I sat in the police station's visitation room. Through the glass, I looked at Leo's hands, still stained with blood. His eyes were wild, unfocused, hollow. He was muttering incoherent fragments of sentences, piecemeal clues that told me what had happened. 3 days ago, Leo never got my forgiveness. His company never got the funding it needed. And Selena, after finding out Leo had come to Shanghai to beg me back, they had a massive fight. It started when Leo found an old diary I had left behind in our marital home. Inside were pages of my pain, my humiliation, a day-by-day record of every moment of suffering, and every scheme Selena had ever used to frame me. By the time Leo finished reading it, his eyes were bloodshot, and the next thing he did was slap Selena across the face. You filthy whore! If it weren't for you, Nicole never would have left me. You should just die. If you die, Nicole will forgive me. Selena, 3 months pregnant, her body too weak to fight back. She collapsed onto the ground, gasping, as Leo's hands tightened around her throat. Her face turned purple, her breathing shallow. She could barely manage a whisper. Leo, the baby, our child. For a moment, Leo froze. His grip loosened slightly. His lips trembled as he muttered, "Right, the baby, the baby. If I get rid of the baby, Nicole will forgive me." Selena's eyes went wide. She begged, "No, Leo, please don't. This is our child, your family's bloodline." But Leo was beyond reason. He had no money, no power. No hospital would even look his way. So, in his madness, he beat her, again and again. His fists slammed into her pregnant belly, over and over. Selena only survived because a bystander stepped in and called for help. She was rushed to the hospital. She lived. The baby survived. But Leo was arrested. And now, here he was, sitting across from me, covered in blood, lost in insanity. Chapter 15. After recounting everything, Leo collapsed to his knees. He clutched at my dress, his fingers desperate, trembling. "Nicole, is it you? It's you, isn't it? I knew it. I knew you still love me. You can't bear to leave me, right? I was deceived by Selena before. Nicole, the one I truly love has always been you. I swear." I pried his hands off my dress, only to grab his fingers again, firmly, and in the same cold tone he had once used on me. I said, "If you really love me, then sign the divorce papers." Leo refused, but his opinion didn't matter anymore. I forced his hand down, pressing his fingerprints onto the document, and just like that, I was finally free. As I left the police station, I asked about Leo's legal situation. The answer was simple: as long as Selena didn't press charges, he would be released. I no longer cared. 2 days later, Paul hosted a celebration banquet for me, my first victory after the divorce. I dressed to perfection for the event, and as I walked through the dazzling crowd, I finally realized I had always been capable of outshining everyone. Leo's words had never defined me. Paul took the opportunity to confess his feelings. I gently declined, but before I could fully enjoy the night, the banquet was ruined because Leo showed up. I had no idea how he got inside, but he was there, holding a knife, not pointed at me, but at himself. His madness was palpable as he seized my wrist. His voice was shaky, yet filled with obsession. "Nicole, I don't believe it. You still love me. You have to. If you don't love me, I'll die." At that moment, I finally saw it. Leo, crazed and suicidal, was exactly who I had been in my past life. For a second, I couldn't even speak. I just felt pathetic, utterly pathetic. Paul yanked me away from Leo, and then Leo stabbed himself. "Nicole, if I die, will you love me forever? Will I be the eternal light in your heart?" Blood spurted out. His life drained from his body. Leo collapsed onto the floor, dead. I stared down at him, and, for the first time, I repeated his own words from my past life. How unlucky. But still, I made arrangements to have his body dealt with, just like he had once sent me to the crematorium. 7 months later, I heard news about Selena. She had given birth to twins. Both were born with congenital disabilities. Cerebral palsy. She barely survived childbirth, suffering massive hemorrhaging, and as a result, she would never be able to have children again. With no skills and no Leo to leech off of, Selena sold her children for money. As for Victor, the man who once mocked me relentlessly, with Leo gone, he became a lackey for someone else, until he was eventually tricked and sent to a black market factory to work as a slave making bricks. Hearing all this, I felt no joy, just indifference. This time around, I had escaped the cycle, and that was enough. I turned to Paul. "Mr. Paul, shall we start our next project?" Paul's eyes lit up, and with a slow, deliberate smile, he said, "With pleasure."